Hi and welcome to Fantasy Footy Fan. It's Jeff here and thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I played both SuperCoach and AFL Fantasy, and this is the first draft of my SuperCoach team for 2024. I've been playing SuperCoach since it started, and AFL Fantasy and Dream Team well before that. So finally, this year, I thought I'd share my thoughts on all things fantasy footy with you all. This is the first draft of my SuperCoach team for 2024, as I mentioned, and in this video I'll be discussing why I'm picking the players I pick, and hopefully this helps with picking your team too. In my next video, I'll go through premium and value picks I'm also considering. So let's get started. Beginning in defense, I am going with the popular pick, Nick Dacos. Now he is a Jet. He averaged 91 in his first year, 116 in his second, and normally we would say third year breakout is coming, but he's already broken out. So safe to say there's plenty of upside still in this young gun. The concern I think that most coaches are going to be having is that he plays in round 0, which means that he will have an early bye. So it looks like the way it will play out is that in round 4, he will likely have the Finn McGuinness tag and then his bye in round 5. So it's understandable that there may be a number of teams out there that won't start him because of this, and that's certainly understandable. The way that I'm approaching things this year is I'm picking my best team at the start of the year. It's going to be very interesting as far as strategy goes and how super coaches are going to approach the season. Do you pick your best team like normal, or do you pick a team where you may not pick the team you want, but you will pick similar players who don't have those early buys? I guess we'll see by mid-year how those strategies have gone. But for me, with Nick Dacos, I'm definitely starting him. The way I see it is that he plays GWS in round 0, Sydney, St Kilda, Brisbane, and then may get that Finn McGuinness tag and then the bye. Now he's priced at an average of 116, and I think he'll average that and possibly more by the time he gets to round 6. I think it'll be difficult to trade him in at that point, not to mention we're using a trade as well to get him in. So I'll be starting with him and riding out that McGuinness tag and bye. The other possibility is that the McGuinness may not even be playing. Now, seeing that the Hawks, they have a lot of youth, a lot of young midfielders, and we know that Sam Mitchell wants to run these young midfielders through the midfield. And my opinion, whilst the McGuinness tag is the best tag in the competition, it's highly effective. Aside from a tag, he doesn't really offer much else. Mind you, that tag is quite effective. So we'll see what Mitchell does. McGuinness tag may be there. Either way, for me, I'm actually starting with Nick Dacos. My next pick that I'll be going with is James Sicily. In his last 4 seasons, he's averaged 94, 103, 113, and 114. That was last season, which is the highest of his career. And he has a huge ceiling. Last year, he had scores of 166, 171, and 172. And I think this year, he has the potential to average even upward towards 120. For my next pick at D3, I am going with Hayden Young. Now, he's going to be a popular pick, and a popular pick for a good reason. I see nothing but upside here with Hayden Young. He averaged 116 in his last 4 games last year playing in the midfield. He's training this preseason with the midfield group, and I can see him, Brayshaw, and Sarong in that midfield throughout the year, with probably O'Meara rotating through there as well. He's priced at an average of 94, and I think he will comfortably average well over 100. He also doesn't play in round 0, so no early bye, which is a big advantage. And he has the round 13 bye, which only Fremantle and Port have that bye. So that's going to be a massive help for us during rounds 14 and 15. So for me, at this stage, he is a lock. My next pick that I'm going with is probably going to be the most popular pick in defence, and that is Zach Williams. Now, he missed last year due to an ACL. He's priced at an average of 38. He averaged 77 in 2022, and that was his lowest average, taking into account the 6 years prior to that as well. If he can average between 65 to 70 points, he'll definitely make that 150k, which is what we want from our 100 to 250k players. He'll be back to full training in January, and if he has no hiccups and lines up in round 1, he should be a lock for your team. He's definitely a lock in my team, that's for sure. From here on in, with my defenders, I'll be picking rookies. Now, I've done a little bit of research with the rookies, but not much, because really there's not much you can do. We got to wait till probably March. We'll get some information through pre-season, and then may even have to wait till round 0 to see what rookies play well and definitely have a spot in their team. So I will be picking at D5, Oscar McDonald. Now, with Oscar McDonald, he was picked up as a delisted free agent by Freo. He'll be 28 when the season starts, after 6 seasons at Melbourne and 2 seasons at Carlton when he was delisted in 2022. And he averaged 75 AFL fantasy points from 20 games in the VFL last year. Sorry, I don't have his SuperCoach numbers. Look, he may get a game. We'll see. But again, one of those ones where we just wait. I mean, these rookies are placeholders, but I'll put him in for now. My next pick at D6 that I am going with is Nick Caulfield. Now, he will be a popular pick, and if he is lining up in round 1, then he definitely is a must-have. He's got some good history with St Kilda. He just needs a regular game, and he has every chance of getting that at the Western Bulldogs. Starting on the bench, I'm going with Marty Hore. Now, he averaged 102 AFL fantasy points from 19 games in the VFL last season. I can't see him getting into that team, but Simon Goodwin likes him, so there's a chance. But he's a good placeholder for now on the bench. And with my last pick, I am going with, if I can find him here. Oh, sorry, going the wrong way. Let's see. Toby Pink is who I'm going with. Sorry about that. There we go. Toby Pink. A popular bench option, 25-year-old mature age rookie, joined North as a delisted free agent. He may hold down a position in defence, especially with North losing Ben Mackay as well. So we'll see. Look, teams don't normally get mature age players in, especially at the age of 25, when they don't expect to play them. So I think there is a chance that he may get a game round 1, but again, we'll just have to wait and see. So moving on to the midfield, and my first pick in the midfield, I guess when you look at a lot of these players, and I'll go through probably a lot of these players in my next video, but these are, especially Von averaged 9 points more per game than the next best player. He's just a gun, but I'll go through them in my next video, and I always try to choose value. I always go for value in my teams. I find it's a good place to start, because as we go through the year, hopefully you've done all your research, you've picked some good value players, and they all pay off, or most of them pay off. And then you hope that some of these guns at some point maybe drop off a little bit during the year and then pick up again, maybe an injury and then their price drops. So that's the way I normally approach it every year. And so for me, I'm starting with LDU at M1. Now, he averaged 126 in his last 6 games of the season. He's priced at an average of 113. There's definitely some upside there. But as we know with LDU, he has that reputation for injury and there's a risk there. However, with that in mind, he did play 20 and 21 games in 2021 and 2022, respectively. Look, he is going to have an elite, consistent season one of these seasons, and I'm really hoping it is this year. The other thing with LDU is I love watching this guy play, and I think that's something we need to take into account when we're picking our Supercoach team, because we all sit down, we watch the games, and we're always watching for our Supercoach players. But what adds to that experience is when you pick a player that you love to watch. For me, it's Nick Dacos and LDU. And I just love the way this guy attacks the footy, the way he moves, the way he plays. It really adds, as I said, to that Supercoach experience when you pick these kinds of players that you love to see play. So for my next pick at M2, I am going with Caleb Sarong. Now, in his first 4 seasons in the AFL, he averaged 81, 83, 91, and 111 last year. I think he could push that 115 to 120 average this year. If not this year, then next year for sure. Now, the advantage with Sarong is that he plays for Fremantle, so that means that he doesn't have an early bye, and he also has that round 13 bye as well. So I think that he is a really good premium pick for this season. For my next midfielder at M3, I'm going with Tom Green. Now, in his last 3 seasons, he's averaged 79, 97, and 111. So similar to Sicily and to Sarong, that trajectory is great. He definitely is built for Supercoach, this guy. He gets contested possessions and clearances and tackles. And if he could just kick a little bit more than he handballs, he could definitely average around that 115 to 120 mark as well. Now, the concern, of course, with Tom Green is that he has the round 3 bye, but he plays Collingwood in round 0 and North at home in round 1. Now, the Pies don't tag, and they aren't overly accountable to opposition midfielders. And he also should dominate against North when he plays against them in their midfield, because they've got a good young midfield, but not a strong midfield. And then, of course, he has the bye in round 3, but he also has West Coast as well in round 2. And they don't have a strong midfield either. He's priced at 111, and I expect him to be well above that by round 3. So I think it's going to be tough getting in a lot of these players that you like after their bye, especially these particular players, because I think there's upside, and I think that there is a chance that their price could increase quite significantly early on, and it might be difficult to get them in, unless, of course, later in the year their price dips or drops. My next pick is going to be a very popular pick, and that is Sam Walsh. Now, with Walsh, the reason he's popular is because of his final series, first of all, last year, where he averaged 122. He's definitely underpriced. He will be a popular pick. But the only problem is that he does have the bye in round 2. And I can see coaches planning to get him in round 3. He's priced at an average of 103, and he may not go above that average by much by the time his bye comes around. But as I said, for me, my strategy, get the best team in at the start. And I don't plan to use my trades to get players after their bye. That might be a strategy for some of you, but that's not the way that I'm approaching things. But again, there's no right or wrong with this. This is all new ground for us. So we're just going to have to see, sort of what works and what doesn't. And, it'll hold us in good stead if the AFL plan to have another round 0 next season. Now, with my next pick, I am going with Touk Miller at M5. Now, this guy, he averaged 124 and 120 a couple of years ago. Another player I love to watch, like LDU and Nick Dacos. This guy just runs all day and he plays hard, runs from contest to contest, tackles. When he's fully fit and up and running, He's just awesome to watch, Toot Miller. He averaged 115 in his first 5 games last year and then got a 40 in his injured game. He wasn't the same, as we know, when he came back from his knee injury, hence his inconsistent scores. He's priced at an average of 97, which is massive unders, but some are concerned about the kind of role he's going to play. I know that last year he did play a bit of a defensive midfield role when he came back, and I think he was managed a bit, but I can't see Hardwick playing his fully fit co-captain out of position. In my opinion, I think he will be playing the same role he's played in the last few years. He'll be there in the guts with Anderson and Rowell in the midfield all year, and with likely Flanders rotating through there as well. He does have the round 3 bye, and so some may want to wait till after his bye. But I really feel that he'll really go up in price, I think, by the time his bye comes around. So for me, he is a lock for my starting team. At M6, I am going with, there we go, with Ruben Ginbey. Now, this is a pick that's flexible for me. I'm not committed to this pick at all. I've got Harley Reid in my forward line, which we'll talk about later. I could easily move Harley Reid to this spot here, use the cash and pick another mid-pricer in my forward line or another mid-pricer in my midfield. There's a number to choose from, but the reason I'm going with Ruben Ginbey, look, last year his minutes were managed. He played at different positions at times. He played in the midfield, but also played a lot of wing and halfback too. But he looked great when he played in the midfield. And this season he'll be playing full time in the midfield. That's according to some reports that is the case. He also has elite tackle numbers, and by all reports as well, he has come back from the off-season super fit. He's priced at an average of 63, but I see him averaging anywhere between 80 to 90 this season. I know that's optimistic, but if he's fully fit, if he's playing full-time mid, I can definitely see him getting to that 80 average, which means that he's increasing his points from the previous season by anywhere between 17 to 27 points. So that's pretty decent. So I've got him in my team for now, and again, flexible with this position, so we'll see how we go. Now, the rest of my picks are rookies, and so as I said, not really taking a lot of interest with the rookies, but I've done a little research, and the rookies I'm picking are stock standard. Looking at other teams, I've listened to some podcasts, I've watched some YouTube videos, and looking at some other teams, these are rookies that most people are picking, and so I'm starting with McKercher. Colby McKercher. Now, in my opinion, he'll definitely play round 1. He is a ball magnet, but where he'll play, I'm not sure. Now, the early reports were that Sheasel's playing halfback, Fisher's playing halfback, McKercher's playing halfback, but they all can't play halfback. In my opinion, at this stage, based on the information we have available, I think that Sheasel will continue his role at halfback and probably push into the midfield a little bit. I think Fisher will also play halfback. I think they traded him in for a reason with Zeeble and Hall leaving and retiring. I think that they've got Fisher lined up for that halfback role. McKercher, I think that they will manage McKercher, but I think he'll play round 1 still. But it's possible he could play in the back pocket or start on the bench and then maybe rotate at halfback. But he will definitely make some cash for us, so he's definitely a starter. For my next pick, I am going with Riley Sanders. Now, he's likely to maybe start on the bench, or he could play at half forward, especially with that Bailey Smith injury. That might help him out a bit. Not sure what kind of cash cow he's going to be. He was a gun, of course, if we look back at his numbers in in the last couple of years, but he's a good placeholder for now anyway. Hopefully he starts round 1 and he'll be a popular pick. For my bench, I am going to start with Jeremy Sharp. I think Freo has got him lined up for a wing position, and he'll be training, I think, on the wing. But he's going to have to fight Heath Chapman and probably Matthew Johnson for a wing position there. Of course, Freo don't have Henry anymore, so the wing positions are open. But I think he's got a good chance of lining up on that wing. For the last two positions, I am going with a couple of Geelong players. So I'm going with, if I can just, I might have just gone past him. I'm actually going with Jai Clark. Now, I'll also pick the other Geelong player I'm going with. Let's see if I can find him here. George Stevens. So with Jai Clark, he was a first-round pick from last year. He's been likened to Joel Selwood. There's every chance they could play him this year if he's fully fit. And then George Stevens, he was picked up in this year's draft, and he's just a ball magnet, this guy. He also may get a game in round 1 too. But again, good placeholders for now. For my rucks, now the player I have decided to start with, of course, is Max Gawn. Now, from rounds 18 to 21, Gawn averaged 160 without Grundy in the side. That's when he was solo rucking last year, and he's going to be solo rucking this year too. Now, in between those rounds, it included scores of 215 and 174. Now, he's priced at an average of 104. And since 2018, he's averaged 128, 128, 140, which was the COVID year, 121, and 113. He is massive unders. The concern, understandably, with Max, firstly, is that he will be 32 at the start of the season. So some may think, well, he's getting a bit older, he may drop off. I don't think so. And he also has the round 6 bye. His first 6 games, he'll be rucking against Grundy in round 0, and then English, Reeves, Soldo, O'Brien, and McInerney. I think he'll comfortably average more than 104 by the time his bye comes around in round 6. I think he's an absolute lock for your starting team. There are some good rucks this year, though. Some good premium rucks, some good value picks as well. But for me, I just can't go past Max Gawn. My next pick at R2, I'm going with Brodie Grundy. From rounds 3 to 5, Grundy averaged 138 without Gawn in the side when Grundy was rucking solo. And he'll be rucking solo this year as well. He's priced at an average of 86. From 2018 to 2022, he averaged 130, 130, 120 in the COVID year, 115, and 103. And in that year, he only played 6 games because of injury. He is massive unders as well. The only concern with Grundy is that he does have the round 5 bye. In his first 5 games, he'll be rucking against Briggs in round 0, Cameron, Draper, Nankervis, and Flynn. I think he will comfortably average more than 86 by round 5. He's a great value pick for Ruckman this year, and will be a very popular pick, no doubt. Now, for my bench, I am picking, just for now, Maley from North, 102k ruck forward. Now, the way I'm approaching my rucks this year, I remember from, was it last year or the year before? I've forgotten now. But I missed out on O'Brien. I think it was the year before. I missed out on O'Brien, and he shot up in price, and he was great value when I think he was worth about 250k or something, and he went up to like 500k. And then Briggs last year did something similar too. And so I don't want to miss out on that. So I've got Maley for now. But if there is a ruckman under 200k that's playing round 1, I'll definitely move some money around for him, because as we know, cash is king. Making cash off your rookies is the way to success in SuperCoach. Now, we normally use our ruckman the ruckman on our bench, we normally use him for our vice captain loophole, but I think this year with having bye players that we will likely have in those early periods, and then by the time the bye periods are over, we'll have rookies that may not be playing. So we'll have players where we can loophole. So picking a ruckman who's playing round one on the bench, I think is a good strategy. Now, the ruckman that I will be considering, that I've already had a look at, will be Conway from Geelong. And he's priced at about 180, I think, is his price. Sweet from Port. He's about 156, 158, I think. He averaged 104 AFL fantasy points from 19 games in the VFL last season. Naismith from Richmond, he's about 123k. He averaged 87 AFL fantasy points from 14 games in the VFL last season. And Archer Reed from West Coast, who I'll be picking in my forward line for now. Again, with rookies, I'm going to be very flexible with that. So in my forward line, I am starting with Jack Macrae. And the reason I'm starting with Jack Macrae is when I look at that forward line, you look at these players, these premiums in the forward line. I just can't. There's none of them there that really yes, I'm lost for words because there's no premiums to pick. Jack Macrae is the one that stands out to me as a premium, and even potentially an underpriced premium as well. I mean, I think he will at least finish a top 6 forward by the end of the year. He's priced there at 100. I think he'll average around that mark, but with Bailey Smith being injured, he may get a little bit more mid-time, which could bump his average up a little bit. But as we know, it's all dependent on what Bevo decides to do. We're all desperate for Bevo just to play Macrae through the midfield again, but they've got gun midfielders running through there too, so we'll just have to wait and see what Bevo decides to do. But I'm definitely going to be starting with Macrae at this stage. Now at F2, I am going with Sam Flanders. He'll probably be the most popular forward at F1 or F2, I think. And we all know what he did last year when Stephen King moved him into the midfield permanently. He averaged 106 in 10 games during that time, and he's priced at an average of 88. We're all befuddled and confused as to what Stuart Dew was doing, why Stuart Dew didn't start Flanders in the midfield. We don't know. A lot of us picked Flanders at the start of last year, me included. And fortunately, I was able to jump on at a good time when he moved into the midfield. But hopefully this year, Hardwick plays him through the midfield from round 1. And to be honest, I can't really see why not. At F3, I'm going with Taylor Adams. Now, he's priced at an average of 78. He's averaged in the 90s in the past and over 100 a couple of times as well. If he can average anything over 90 or 90 and above, I'll be happy with that at the price that he's at. We know that he's definitely playing 100% playing time in the guts. His trade to Sydney was contingent on him playing in the midfield, and Horse said that he wanted an in and under midfielder like Taylor Adams, and they jumped at the chance when they found out that Adams was available for trade. The risk, of course, with Adams is his propensity for injury, but I think, or rather I'm hopeful, that he makes some cash before he gets injured. He does have the round 5 bye, and in those first 5 games he's playing Melbourne in round 0, then West Coast, Collingwood, Essendon and Richmond before the round 5 bye. So I think his price will go up significantly by then, and I think by the time he gets to his bye, he won't be value. If he's there's every chance he could get injured, but if he's played all 5 games, gets to his bye, his price will jump. Now going to my next pick at F4, and probably the most popular pick in SuperCoach this year, and that is Harley Reid, which I've just gone past him, I think. Where is he? Okay. Oh, that's right. Sorry. I was thinking AFL fantasy numbers. Here he is. Harley Reid, 207,000K. There's not really much to say here. He just pick him. Just pick him, start him. He'll make cash. He'll play every game of the year, barring injury. And he's a gun. He's an absolute jet, this kid. He's going to be an awesome player in the years to come. Now, my next pick I'm going with is Darcy Wilson from St Kilda. Now, he looks like he could step straight into that round one team, and Ross Lyon was quoted as saying that he'll play a lot of football next year. So that gives us confidence that he may end up starting in round one. Now, my next pick at F3 that I'm going with is going to be probably a very popular pick, at least a very popular pick on the bench. I know that I'm starting with him at F6, but let's see, I've gone past him as well. Sorry about that. And that is Sean Manor. Now, Sean Manor was he is a 26-year-old forward. Let's see. I can't find him. Where are you? I'll just type it in. I should have just typed it in from the start. He's 117K. I thought he was 123. That's why. Anyway, yeah, as I said, 26-year-old forward. Many expect he'll play round one. He averaged 110 AFL fantasy points from 21 games in the VFL last season. So if he starts round one, I reckon he could make us quite a lot of cash. On my bench, I'll be going with Sam Darcy from the Western Bulldogs. Now, I think that Darcy will end up playing. I think they want to get games into him. He should start round one, in my opinion, if he's fully fit and ready to go. So yeah, hopefully he gets a game round one. And as I mentioned, for my last pick on the bench, I'm going with Archer Reid. Again, just placeholders with the rookies. I'm not actually taking it overly seriously with the rookies. We need to just wait over the next couple of months to really find out who to pick. As we all know, all of us who have played SuperCoach for many years. So guys, that's my team. There'll be some changes along the way, but the structure will stay the same. I'm going for that sort of Guns rookies, I guess, with the one mid-price, a couple of expensive rookies. I think Guns rookies will be a popular strategy this year. But yeah, the other strategy too is that I'll be picking my best team to start with. Others will pick teams, pick players based on whether they're playing the early buys or not. Currently with my team here, I've got 2 players missing in round 2, 3 missing in round 3, 3 missing in round 5, and 1 missing in round 6. I'm really hopeful that I can ride that out and that I'll be in a good position at round 7, hopefully. So I really hope you enjoyed this team reveal and enjoyed my video. Hopefully it helps you with your team as well. In my next video, as I mentioned, I'll be going through other premium and value picks that I'm also considering. So thanks again so much for watching. Again, really appreciate it, guys. And I'll catch up with you soon.